Mic check 1 2. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Day1Radio right here on Live Hip Hop Daily. I'm Maurice Garland in the building with my man Branden Peters. What's happening, man?
Ain't nothing, bro. How you been, man?
I've been cooling, man.
Appreciated you for holding it down last week, man.
Oh, yeah, that was a fun one, man. That was a fun one.
Yeah, man. It's amazing the cats that really be making moves in the music industry and making money off writing and producing that can walk through the mall and nobody. That's the life to me. Like, that's what it's about.
Yeah, I remember years ago, I think I was interviewing DJ Toomp, who still pretty much keeps a low profile
For sure.
now, you know what I'm saying? But this was like when, T.I. King album was out, everything. It was like cracking, you know what I'm saying? And he was like headed into doing the beats on, Graduation and all that stuff. And he was just saying like, yeah, I like being able to walk through the mall and not everybody know who I am. You know what I'm saying? And I can have the most expensive watch on in the mall, and people still won't know who the hell I am.
You had to throw that part in. So, I remember seeing Toomp in Manhattan the night of that kind of infamous Kanye birthday party at the Louis Vuitton store, and we just stopped and chopped it up. And nobody, and this is really damn near the height of Toomp. You know what I mean? Right. That's dope to me. I never wanted to be famous. I'll take the paper, though. And if you're not sure what we're talking about, we got Willie Hendricks and Michael Aristotle last week on the show, who produced and wrote some stuff on Missy's latest project and a bunch of other stuff straight out of the east side of Atlanta.
Out of the east side of Atlanta.
So, yeah, appreciate those brothers coming through, for sure, most definitely. But, it's just me and you this week, man, chopping it up about things that are going on before we... I hope this isn't a somber episode. This was a really rough week for black folks, man. A lot of people passing and a lot of, we're going to keep it as light as possible, though.
Across, cultures, or I don't want to say genres, but just across different paths of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't all entertainment. It wasn't all business. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't all sports. It was like a combination of all three.
Yeah, absolutely. And before, we get into it, I definitely got to send prayers and thoughts out to the family of Alexis Crawford, the young lady who was murdered, the Clark Atlanta University student. I do appreciate the police for actually solving this quickly and getting the people into custody who did it, but it's just... Man, nobody sends their child away to school for some shit like that to happen.
Right, man. And it's like, this is a thing. I mean, people disappear all the time, but it's like, it seems like, cause there's another young lady missing out in Alabama right now, another sister.
From another college student, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, this got to be a parent's worst nightmare. You know what I'm saying? You sending your child up to get an education and they just come up missing. Then, in this situation, they come up dead. It's like, damn, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's crazy, man, because the young lady's roommate, her pops is a cop or a probation officer or something. And I'm just like, how does that happen? Like, how do you, clearly they're not career criminals, because they were extremely sloppy. So I'm like, how does that happen where your roommate, we've all had roommates in college we didn't get along with or got along with or whatever, but for her to go and file a report with the police saying there were unwanted advances from the girl's boyfriend, and then the next thing you know, they choke her, smother her, and put her in a plastic bin and leave her in the park. Like, who does that? That's like some real serial killer, sociopath type shit.
Yeah, you never know what goes off and triggers and unlocks the worst in some folk.
Yeah, that's...
You know what I'm saying? Because, when something like that happens, ain't no telling what else is left to be uncovered in a story like this. For you to carry out such a heinous act, it's like there's probably other things down the pipeline that is going to lead to more elements of the motive and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, that's real. Shout out to my my Clark Atlanta family. I know this is a tough time for everybody. Like, nobody wants to see that. I know even the students that I mentor that I've talked to were just kind of like, man, it's crazy.
It's been a rough year for Clark. They had the shootout on campus at the top of the year.
And the one thing I did not like is people were like, oh, well, Clark needs better security and this and that. I'm like, fam, this happened off campus. This young lady had an apartment. Like, this ain't got nothing to do with bureaucracy or anything at Clark. Like, stall that out. Like, we all angry, we're all upset, but let's not point the blame at the wrong people or the wrong entities. But
yeah, a lot of people they like to use the first thing that they can reference or tie to something and blame it on that.
Yes, it's very, very Fox News logic.
Right. You know what I mean? There's people getting robbed on Georgia Tech campus all the time.
All the time.
For very nefarious acts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like it never makes the news. Nobody's ever like, Georgia Tech needs to improve their security, because they don't even let that stuff get out that happens on that campus.
Exactly. But yeah, the funeral or viewing will be held on Friday from 4 to 8 at Hill Chapel Baptist Church in Athens, where Alexis was from. So if y'all want to go and support or send flowers or anything, that's the information, man. But yeah, once again, prayers go out to her family. That's tough, man. That's super hard. And we gotta. A lot of this, one conversation that has come out of a lot of these girls coming up missing, that it may not be that, but I think it's always good to have the conversation, is the whole sex trafficking thing and women being a victim of sex trafficking. And it's true, like, dude, we got to protect each other, man. Like, if we don't protect our women, nobody will, for real.
See, that's the thing that scares me about community. Like, I'm far from an expert and I haven't, read up on everything there is to read on sex trafficking, but it's like, it still seems so shadowy, you know what I'm saying? To like, whereas what can you do, other than just go like over the top with security and surveillance on your loved ones, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not like, you like, it's like every time we hear of somebody like getting snatched up and that, like, they literally just be on some old, they got snatched up, they disappeared, or somebody that chose to leave their home and they got out there and just, wound up in a terrible situation. But
I feel like it's also like it's a protection thing. Like, make sure you watch your wife, your mom, your cousins, sisters, whomever. Make sure that they're good. But it's also women making sure that they're paying attention to their surroundings, not be talking on the phone as you walking from the car. Take a look around before you get out your car. The simple stuff like that, because a lot of times these dudes be posted up in parking lots, snatching people. Like, it's real, like, quick,
right?
Type stuff, and it's not, it ain't cool. But it's hundreds of little girls and women just in this state that are snatched up every month. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it ain't no mystery. I mean, it ain't no just coincidence that they got sex trafficking signs and stuff up in the airport,
right?
So the people definitely gotta be careful, man. And moving on, though, it was a trip for me. I don't know if you saw. Well, we kind of talked about it earlier, man. Badass passed away, man.
Yeah, man. That was it's always a surprise when, like, somebody passes away that you can say, oh, I remember a contribution that they made. They did something. Like, I can't lie and sit here and act like I was thinking about Badass last week sometime. What I'm saying? But like, it was kind of sudden, because like they said he died in jail and he had just got arrested last week.
Was there a medical issue? Was it some gang shit? You know what I mean? Like, that's why 43 is very young to die, bro. Like, out of nowhere, like, you get locked up on Friday and you die on Monday. Like,
because have any details come out about how he died? I mean, can be folks already saying all kind of wild stuff on it in the comments on videos and all that kind of stuff.
Only thing I saw that it was a $10,000 bond that he hadn't bonded out and he was waiting for a court date. That's the only thing I saw. But like, from everything that artists, famous and not, and just fans, I was reading a lot of comments today. Like, people spoke really highly of this dude. Like, he was one of the nicest people that they had met. You know what I mean? And it's like, man, that's tough, bro. That's super tough, man. Rest in peace to Badass, for sure, man. That's, most people know Crazy, the Tupac song, and that I don't want anybody, the Snoop joint. But Badass had like 4 solo albums. Like, he was. I mean,
no, he was a prolific dude. I mean, a lot of those West Coast cats are. You know what I'm saying? Like, they, they'll drop something and like, you may not know about it or you may not hear about it until like years later. You know what I'm saying? They stay active.
Yeah, the beauty of that is you can legitimately like have a career just dropping stuff for your fan base and doing shows. you know, here and there and making your paper. Like, you got a regular job. Just don't have to go to work every day.
Right. Because that's what it is for a lot of folks. I remember having a conversation with your boy, Fabby Davis Jr.
Yeah.
One time. And like the way he broke it down was like, it was the first time I heard a rapper talk about rapping like it was a job. Because he was just talking about how, I may not have a multi-million-dollar contract, but I can drop X amount of albums and do these shows, and I'm pretty much making the equivalent of a good-ass teacher certain years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I made X amount of dollars this year, and it was like, damn, like, granted, that's not the amount that you think a rapper gets when they flashing all in the videos and stuff, but you're like, well, shit, but if that was my job, that would be a nice little paycheck.
Think about it. Like, if you're not caught up in your ego, say you came out with a hit say you're Keith Murray, and you came out with, you know, you had a real big hit and 2 or 3 minor hits, and then the Def Squad stuff, and a couple features that people want to hear. Dog, you can go to Europe and do a nice run and make 15 to 25 grand, you know, once every 6 weeks. That's enough to live off of. For sure. You can do Germany, Sweden, Amsterdam, and be back home with a bag.
Right.
You know what I mean? Speaking of Fabby, he actually texted me the other day. He came out with an album, Cuban Cigars and Rosé Champagne, recently. So go ahead and look that up, stream it, support the homie, man. That's good for him. He's speaking of prolific. He's been releasing a lot of music, and it's all been pretty good. I still want Fab to get that one like major look. Like, dude is such a good rapper, and everybody rocks with him. I feel like he deserves that major look, for sure. Hopefully it comes at some point. I don't think he really cares no more. But it's all good though, man. Did you pay any attention to that Camp Flog and all stuff?
You know what, man? That was unfortunate because I'm not even a Drake fan, but I was just like, damn, like y'all did do like that because he's not Frank Ocean, like.
First and foremost,
that was kind of wild. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like because I don't know how much they paid for tickets and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, you technically got what you paid to see, and then, you know, word gets around, like, there's a special guest coming, there's a special surprise guest coming that we're not expecting. Then somebody puts it out there, it's gonna be Frank Ocean, Then it's like the biggest rapper in the damn world shows up, and you're like, boo! It's like, damn, bro.
Okay, I'm not a Frank Ocean fan, and I'm not a Drake fan. But you kind of lightweight got to be a real hater to boo Drake when you didn't pay to see Drake.
Exactly. Like, it's like that is
because if Drake was on the bill, them tickets would have been $20 more at minimum.
Right. I mean, that is like, and I've never been a person to throw these terms around, but that probably might be one of the biggest examples of the whole like millennial entitlement thing. It's like, bro, you booed Drake who showed up. And it's like the biggest rapper in the world. You booed that man. Right. And it's like I said, I'm not a fan of his, but like it ain't like he ain't got songs that everybody damn like.
Everybody likes at least one Drake song. Everybody likes at least one Drake song, even if it's in secret. Everybody likes at least one Drake song. Like, he makes music that is popular purposefully. Right. Like, there's a formula, so it's gotten into everybody's playlist.
Like, who else was on that bill? Who else was on the bill?
I don't know. Let me look.
I mean, like, to me,
The baby was on it. Was YG on it?
We can't hear you. Oh, you can hear me? Cool.
I got you.
Homie Jake
Black?
Black?
Because he brought out Stormy Daniels.
And, that's where he brought out Stormy Daniels.
I think
Shout out to YG for that. He's probably gonna get arrested at some point soon just because Donald Trump is a whole hater. But that was a ballsy ass move.
Yeah, because it's like even beyond like just seeing the whole thing happen, I'm like, damn, like I would think that in the culture of, you know, pop culture and, you know, rap period right now, like those two synergies have to overlap somewhere. I didn't know that there was that much of the divide between a person that goes to a Tyler the Creator festival and
you had
Drake listeners.
21 Savage. There's definitely overlap there.
Yeah.
You got Daniel Caesar. There's some overlap there. You got Juice WRLD. I mean, it's not like these were all like super underground,
Right.
you know,
It was a
whatever
festival.
artists. Yeah, exactly. you had real, like legit. You had Mos Def or Yasin Bey. You got like you were saying, you got YG. So yeah, I don't really get that. But and the thing is, I've only seen video of Frank Ocean performing a couple times. Neither one of those performances were good. So I'm like,
Yeah, I went to his first Atlanta show.
how was it?
I mean, I didn't want to go to any other ones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like when he did Coachella, like he sounded terrible.
You know, it was just like.
But I guess it's just like that. You want to have the experience of
Yeah,
saying, "I
yeah,
saw Frank Ocean."
yeah.
But did you see Drake's response?
I was saying that he signed some
He
contract.
said
He's gonna be there
Plax
for the
was
next 20 years
just
or
signed
something.
a 10-year residency at Camp Flogna. Sorry, kids. See you every single year until you're 30.
Right.
Like, that's hilarious. And I guarantee you he will be there next year.
Yeah.
Because he petty as hell.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that was crazy to me. I could not imagine a world where Drake was getting booed at a concert in front of a bunch of young people.
It's weird.
I can see him coming out on some gangster shit and
But
getting
like
booed.
but like it's weird though. It even reminds me of his festival, the OVO Fest.
Yeah.
The year that he brought Outkast out when Outkast was on their reunion tour, and the crowd was looking at Outkast like they weren't booing, but they were just like, "Who are they?" You know what I'm saying? We don't get
Canadians,
it.
though, man. That's different. They grew up on Chocolare and shit like that, and Cardinal Official. They may not rock with Outkast like that. I don't know. Have you taken the time to listen to that Gang Starr joint?
You know, but I started on it, man. It sounds pretty solid so far. You know, it's like, because you never know what to expect with those. We found some unearthed verses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it was a testament to how universally dope Guru was. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it's like, you know, listening to it, it did not sound dated.
Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? Which lets you know that like his content and the way he approached rap was always dope. You know what I'm saying? Like he never like you like even with your favorite Gang Starr songs, like they don't sound dated. Like Mass Appeal don't sound like something. Oh, I could tell this came out in 1993.
Right.
Like it's just a universally dope song. So like I love the way that it started out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I could have done without a couple of the little dap features here and there.
I
you know
mean,
what I'm
you
saying?
gotta-
But
you
it's
gotta respect
But yeah,
them.
that's the crew. That's the crew. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta respect them bringing Gang
Yeah.
Starr Foundation
Yeah,
back together. Respect the fact that J. Rue is on a Primo beat for the first time in well over a decade,
Right.
probably 20 years. Like you definitely gotta respect that. I really enjoyed listening to Primo do this interview run and just talking about how everything was put together and how he ended up having his lawyer contact the Solar dude who, if y'all remember when
Yeah,
Guru
all that
passed, was
going
on
down.
all the shady shit, and had him secure the vocals and put it together. And I think he took quite a while to put the album together, but it's not like I like everything I heard except
Yeah.
for the Neo song. I don't really like the Neo and I can't remember old girl's name that's on it. And not that it's a bad song, it just seemed forced.
Yeah.
Because Gang Starr's romance or relationship songs were always super dope. Love Sick and all of that stuff. This seemed kind of forced.
Yeah, I don't know if you count as a love song. They had girls singing on it, like Discipline with Total. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Any song that like was like the girl song, it was still like, oh, I'm still gonna ride to this. It's still dope. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But yeah, I appreciate it. I hope it did well. I didn't see what the numbers were at all. But yeah, I hope people really listen to it. The rollout was really good. Like the New York Times piece, and I think Paul Cantor did that. Shout out to him. That was pretty ill. Like I definitely liked it. I feel like this is gonna be one of them ones that people just continue to listen to over time. It's not like, because this is probably the last Gang Starr album we're ever gonna get.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, if it, because when did Guru pass?
it's been 6-7 years. I
So
believe.
it's like, if we're just now getting this in 2019, I don't think there can be a lot left. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. But Primo was saying he recorded a lot. Like when he would be doing Ballhead Slick stuff, when he'd be doing Jazzmatazz stuff, and then they come back together and do a Gang Starr joint. So who knows? There could be other verses out there. I definitely would like to hear it. I will say this. I always because I have a couple friends who think that Guru is like top 10, top 5 all time, and I've never agreed with that. Yet I've been a Gang Starr fan since day one, since whatever the first album was, on Chrysalis or whatever. No, before they signed to that. But I've never thought that Guru was the greatest lyricist. What I appreciated on this is it's just the voice and the flow. Yeah,
like he's attacking the mic. Like that's what I'm saying. Like he's like, cause the first track that comes on, I was like, damn, like he's attacking the mic, cause you kind of got used to like the older Guru, like the laid back one. Like you didn't hear him attack like that in a while. You're like, damn, this dude is attacking. Like this shit sound fire. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like you were saying, man, it's like, that's the thing I appreciated about what I heard from it so far, man. Like it just reminded you how universally dope and how timeless that dude really was. Because like when you look at everything that he did with Gang Starr and then how innovative he was with the jazzmatazz stuff, you know what I'm saying? It's like not everybody can pull stuff like that off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, I mean, granted, Premier did use a lot of jazz samples, but like that's different from hopping in the booth with actual jazz musicians and making songs that are constructed in that way and still flowing over and sounding seamless over.
When I wrote that joint on Terrace, Martin, Thundercat, and Kamasi Washington a few years ago for Playboy, like I mentioned that like these dudes were so far ahead of their time. Like people were sampling jazz, but actually working with jazz musicians is a whole nother ball game. Especially back then when hip hop wasn't as accepted.
Right.
And it was, let's keep it 100. It was a lot of haters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a lot of people who was just like, I don't want to listen to that young nigga shit.
But and that kind of reminds you like this, cause I was just listening to like the first 3 jazzmatazes not too long ago. I think I was on a road trip. I'm like, man, let me throw these on. I ain't heard these in a minute. And it kind of reminds, like I said, like Guru was never, when you thought of explicit, vulgar, bad rap music, he was not in the conversation.
Not at all.
So it's like I know that helped. Like granted, he would cuss and say some words here and there, but I'm pretty sure that helped a lot when he's approaching a Donald Byrd, you know what I'm saying, or one of the Marcellus brothers, and they're like, let me go do some research on this dude. Like, okay, I can rock with this guy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
exactly. But yeah, and beyond that, he was grown.
Yeah,
like them dudes.
He came in the game grown. Yeah, like Chuck D style. Like he came in grown.
The one thing I did not know, or maybe I had forgotten, and we might use this at Hip Hop Trivia at some point in time, is I don't think I knew that Gang Starr was actually founded at Morehouse.
I knew Guru went to Morehouse.
Yeah,
and that Primo went to Prairie View.
Guru and Big Suge were both students at Morehouse, and they founded Gang Starr Foundation at Morehouse.
Yeah, I did not know it was founded at Morehouse. Wow, that's dope.
I had no idea. That's real ill. But yeah, if you have not heard it, make sure you go and stream, buy whatever your choice is for music. One of the best yet from Gang Starr. Yo, speaking of that, dude, this blew my mind. As you know, I went on vacation to Tokyo. They still have real record stores. Like there are 6,000 record stores in the country of Japan.
6,000 record stores?
Because they still buy CDs. And they still buy vinyl. Like I actually went into what looked like their version of a swap meet, going to the sneaker store or flea market as they call it in Atlanta. And there was a record store called Castle Records that like had a bunch of CDs and DVDs of like battles and people like their local rappers and R&B artists and stuff like that. Like it was dope as fuck. I couldn't believe it. There's a Tower Records that is 9 stories there.
Damn.
Yeah, like it was ill, bro. Like they really like have places where you go and just listen to music. We went to this bar that Sean Valiant and Thoughts put me up on called JBS Sound, Jazz, Blues, and Soul. And it's a quarter of the size, an eighth of the size of the studio. And it's just records from floor to ceiling.
So let me
on
ask
both
this,
sides.
From what you know, let me know if you know this. Is it very expensive to live in Tokyo?
It's about the same as living in LA.
Okay, that may explain a lot because vinyl is definitely a disposable income person's game. You know what I'm saying? It's like you gotta like be able to afford like to go out. I'm gonna drop 25, 30, maybe 50 on this vinyl, like, you know what I'm saying?
No, but they still, they buy CDs.
Okay, buy CDs.
And the prices of CDs are priced like the average CD there, I think, is like between $18 and $20. So artists can still make money and stores can still make money off of that, and they have no problem paying for it. But the bar I was telling you about was crazy, like literally turntables, dope ass vintage old speakers, records on both sides, floor to ceiling. And the Japanese old man bartender make your drink, put on a record, and they playing Grover Washington Jr., Herbie Hand. Like, we posted up in there for like 3 hours. Met some cats from LA, chopped it up with them. But it was awesome, man. So I got a shout out. And then our boy, Jake One and Mayor Hawthorne was out there.
Oh, doing a show?
The day after I left.
Oh, damn.
But there was a free magazine called Billboard Live that had them on the cover. That shit was all over the city. In train stations. Oh, nah, he was like, they're huge out there.
Damn.
Yeah, man. So
that makes sense. I mean, I like Tuxedo. I haven't really rocked with it after the first album.
You got to go see a show.
Did I go? I missed him that time. That time we talked to him. The show was the night before, so I missed him that time.
Yeah, the show is crazy. You got to go see the show. But yeah, man, we got to get out there and do a hip hop trivia. I was definitely out there politicking and seeing what you could find for sure, most definitely. So, yeah, man. Have you one thing I don't know if it's just the people I follow on social media or the people that I know in real life, but I feel like a lot of times we are late to stuff. You and I think even on the show, have had the conversation about the stuff Byron Allen is doing maybe 3 years ago. I guess because it's gotten to the Supreme Court, everybody's paying attention to it now. But it's crazy. Like, he's been on this media run. I don't know if you've been watching it, but this week they go before the Supreme Court in this $20 billion lawsuit against Comcast. And I want people to really pay attention to this because it's bigger than cable. Like, Comcast is I can't remember the name of the law, but it was basically a law that they used back in the day in Boston to keep gay people from marching in a parade. And Comcast tried to use that law to basically say that is how they can discriminate and not pay black-owned TV stations through the money they get that we all pay for cable or streaming or whatever. So he won that, went to 9th District, overturned the Comcast thing, won against Charter. But now there's this thing that's going to the Supreme Court where essentially what they're arguing is that in order to prove a discrimination case, you have to 100% prove that you are discriminated against because you're black or you're a minority.
And how do you do that?
Exactly. So that's what they're arguing at the end of the day. That's what I'm saying. So according to that, it's like, all right, yeah, you black. And that's 5% of the reason why I'm not going to do this deal with you. But the other 95% is because I don't like your haircut. Like, dog, how can that fly in any court? So, like, I've heard people say, oh, Byron Allen is just out for Byron Allen, whatever. I don't see Oprah or anybody white or anybody Native American, any woman, any other man putting up their money to fight Comcast. Period. He believes in it, and people need to pay attention to this shit. Like, folks ain't just giving it lip service. It's not just for no reason that people are you see Killer Mike speaking out about it. This is a big deal, and this law is always based on precedents. So if there is a case that goes to the Supreme Court that says that people have to prove 100% that you are being discriminated against, that is going to trickle down to every discrimination case in this country. This shit is important. Like, people really need to pay attention. Like, it's not a fucking game at all. And we already said, and I know black folk, I just had a whole discussion today with one of my homies about about Colin Kaepernick. I don't know if you've seen that he's going to do a tryout out here this weekend where they're inviting every NFL team. And some of them have said they're going to attend. And he's just going to show his thing, and he's going to do interviews about on-field and off-field things afterwards with these NFL teams. And I'm just like, bruh, I honestly believe that every team could be like, they're under no circumstances are we signing Colin Kaepernick and make it public, and people will still watch. You know what I mean? But it goes down to the same thing.
I mean, I think we've had this discussion before. It's like, I don't watch football like that no more, but I know that there's a lot of people out there, and it's like, I can understand their logic. They're like, look, man, my team already had a quarterback. We ain't got nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's on the 49ers, the Ravens, the Cowboys, all these other folks. I'm a Tennessee Titan fan. We already have a quarterback. We're a Steelers fan. I already got a quarterback. So it's like, I can understand why some folks are like, I get it, it's messed up, but my team already had a quarterback. We technically did not need
to play devil's advocate. How many bums you got holding clipboards on the side of it? And because my thing is, you're going to make money. We've seen how many people support this dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're going to make money. So it can't be a money issue. So it must be a power issue or the loss of power issue. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we gotta dig deep. But yeah, I cannot wait to see who actually shows up and what their excuse is. Because I personally don't feel like he's ever getting signed to a team. Ever.
Ever?
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
How old is he
32.
Now? He's 30.
He hasn't played since 2016.
Why do he want to go back to the NFL?
I think it's to prove a point. I think he does. I mean, but why would you? That's like somebody. That's like somebody saying you've done something your entire life. You've reached the apex. Let's not forget, he took the bum ass 49ers to a Super Bowl. So you gotta think. Somebody telling you after you've done all of this, after you've overcome obstacles, came out of a school where I can't name another NFL player that came out of that school.
Nevada.
Yeah, and now they're going to tell you, oh, you can't play. Not because you suck, but because of other shit. You know what I mean? Like, think about, when was the last time, when have you ever in your lifetime heard of the NFL settling a lawsuit? Ever.
I get that, but it's just like, it's not that you need the money to make a living. I get that you're trying to prove a point, but if this league is so corrupt, like, why would you want to keep going back to that league? That's my thing.
Like, I
would say this too. It reminds me of a conversation that I had with Too Short that almost went all the way left. You know what I'm saying? But it was it was maybe been like 10, 12 years ago now, because he done threatened to retire like 3-4 times. In an interview, I was like, so bro, why are you still rapping? Like, you done said you're gonna retire this many times, and it's like you're not really getting any younger. Like, why are you still rapping? And he was just like, cause nigga, I'm a rapper. I rap. So it's like, I'm thinking maybe that's Cap's thing too. It's like, bro, I'm a football player. This is what I do. Why would I not? You know what I'm saying?
And
if there's other leagues. It's other leagues that if it was just about football.
What other leagues?
It ain't not at the level. You got the Canadian League.
What channel does that come on?
I mean, ESPN, but it's not on the main show. But Kaepernick has enough pull to where I feel like the media will follow him, and he can get some public.
I agree with you, but if you can be on the biggest stage with who you have already proven yourself to be, then why would you accept a lesser stage when you don't have lesser talent?
I guess that just goes into what the overall goal is of his protest, of his whole, what are you looking to get out of this? What was this whole thing about? Like, what?
To bring light.
Okay, now it brought light, then what?
I mean, I see at least once a week somebody getting killed by a police officer. We've had one charged with murder and one convicted of murder, which is going to get overturned, and she's only going to do about 3 years. So what's changed?
Yeah, I think Cap got
let him answer the question.
What he wanted out of it.
What's changed?
That's what I'm saying. What has changed?
So why would you stop fighting if what you did this for hasn't changed?
He used the NFL. He don't need the NFL for that anymore.
You always need a microphone. You can't fight City Hall with a slingshot. He has a microphone to an extent. But if you're in the most profitable league in America, probably the second most profitable in the world, and you've already made your claim, you've already said who you are, he's not going to stop. So that makes it even bigger. Like, fam, I don't think anyone ever needs to stop until the issue stops. And the issue is still happening.
I mean,
damn near every other day.
I mean, I don't feel like him definitely associated with the NFL, but him trying to play on these teams and complaining and not get.
If somebody told you that you couldn't do what you wanted to do for a living, even though you were one of the 32 best, would you accept that? It's a yes or no question.
If you're not an owner, you don't have a choice.
I didn't say that. Would you accept it if you were one of the 32 best producers in the world, and the entities that the best producers go to told you that you could not work there despite you having the skill? Would you accept that? It's a yes or no question.
I don't know if it's yes or no.
No, I'm asking him personally. I just no judgment. Would you accept it?
If I have to, yes.
There is no if you have. You don't have to.
Start my own. Like you have to. That's how you become entrepreneur, because the job is not giving
You're not.
You want.
We just saw Bill Polian, one of the most powerful people in sports, attempt to start a football league, and that shit lasted 3.5 days. You also have to be realistic. I think that's one of the things, going back to the Byron Allen thing, asking him why he's using his money, why he's going so far, and he was like, because we are killed in the courtroom and in the boardroom well before we are choked to death in the street. Meaning that in order to beat the system, you have to play by the system's rules. And you can't always play by those rules outside of the scope of the system. And that's really what it boiled down to. But I appreciate, I like having opposing, well, not even opposing, we on the same page, for sure.
I just don't feel like they should keep going back to the NFL.
I mean, it's all a game, man. At the end of the day, speaking of NFL, man, also rest in peace, Charles Rogers, man. That's crazy. Dude couldn't be even 40. I met Charles Rogers in Detroit the first time I went to Detroit.
Oh, wow.
At this bar. And I was like, ain't that Charles Rogers? Talking to my boy Sean Malcolm. Shout out to Sean if you remember that. But yeah, I was like, that's crazy. I didn't even read the story because that shit is sad. I don't even want to know.
He was definitely not 40, because he was like 20 years old in 2002 when he got drafted.
Yeah.
So he wasn't 40 yet, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it is one of those tragic stories, you know what I'm saying? Like, the dude was the man at Michigan State, got drafted number 2 by pretty much the closest thing to his hometown team.
Yeah.
Broke his collarbone 5 games into that season. Fought hard to come back. Broke the collarbone again 2 games into the next season. And then, but the interesting thing is, though, in his story, one thing that, like, a lot of folks go straight to, like, his decisions to get on the alcohol pretty bad and the drugs, but there was a turning point in a Jamel Hill interview that he did years ago when he was trying to get back in the NFL. And a lot of folks, they went back and looked at it and they were like, yo, Jamel kind of missed the mark on this interview, because she was focusing on him. She kept asking, so were you smoking weed? Were you smoking weed? Were you smoking weed? But it's like, he also said, yeah, I was smoking weed, and then I got on them prescription pain drugs that they used to give me when I was in the league. And it's like, there was no press on that. Like, shit, he got addicted to some shit that they were giving him in the league. Right. And that's what's got to, granted, decision making too, but it's like, he got introduced to some new drugs through the NFL, and that's what kind of like sent him on his spiral down, you know what I'm saying?
We ain't on the poster for the opioid crisis. That's for folks that live in the suburbs and, shit like that. But
the story is like, he was actually getting his life back. He had a job, you know what I'm saying? He was working in Florida at cause he was down bad. He had been down. Like, that's why he was out the public eye. Like, we didn't know where this man was at, but he actually popped up on a news station in Florida, I want to say maybe like 2 to 3 years ago. They were like, it was another like, where's Charles Rogers at?
Right.
And like, he was working at a friend's auto shop in Florida. So he was like getting back on his feet just life-wise. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't even worried about football, nothing. Like, he was just trying to get back on his feet life-wise. So like, he was working the job, you know what I'm saying? He was like the general manager for the car shop and everything. Like, he was working the job, living the regular life, just trying to get back on his feet and just cool out. You know what I'm saying? And but they said he he might have passed away from a form of cancer or something. So
damn.
Yeah, like I said, it's
that's
if they ever do a 30 for 30 on this man, like it's gonna be a tear jerker.
He was nice. It ain't like he was just a middle of the way marginal player. Like, he was a beast. Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember those games, Michigan State games. Like, he was shit. You know what I'm saying? Had a memorable Madden commercial. Like, he was on his way out there. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, man. But let's get up out of here, man. Also, before we go, I definitely if you guys don't know who Bernard Tyson is, who is the CEO of Kaiser, look that brother up, man. It ain't too many cats that run a major company, especially a major medical company that's black and that's really about the community. Unfortunately, he passed away in his sleep at 60 years old, but it was everybody I knew, from the mayor of San Francisco, London Breed, to like homies I went to high school with that, are kind of moving and shaking, and even E40 that shouted him out. Yeah. Like, that's a major, major loss. I know he's not somebody we read about in history books, and he ain't on Forbes every other week, but that brother was thorough and he was legit for sure. So definitely look him up if you're not hip. But yeah, we appreciate y'all listening, appreciate y'all watching. All my NBA heads, make sure y'all listen to the NBA Hang Time podcast this week with CAU Smith. I'll be on there talking some Warriors stuff with the homie. And
how long does that episode last?
Hey man, we gonna chop it up. The conversation about championships would last much longer than the Hawks conversation, so it's good. But we're talking about the move to San Francisco, all the injuries, and all of that stuff. It's a tough season for sure, but it's gonna be dope. And CAU is definitely super on point. We need him to come on the show, so I'm gonna make that happen for sure. But appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate y'all watching. Make sure that you follow us on Day1Radio. That is DAY, the number 1 radio, on all your social media. And also follow us on Hip Hop Trivia ATL on all social media. See you next week. Peace.